Welcome, everyone. My name is Carl Vetter, and this is another Inhale a Book video, episode. This time, Grit by Angela Duckworth. The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Quite enjoy the book. And as usual, I want to get my little Inhale a Book top 3 results if I can. And I also want to get a little bit into all the mechanics of why I like the book. And I want to, just give you a little bit of the tidbits that I really found interesting. Angela Duckworth, what does it say about her actually? About her, it says she's a PhD, MacArthur Fellow and Professor of Psychology at the University of Pennsylvania. Very amazing. Advised the White House, the World Bank, NBA, NFL teams, Fortune 500 CEOs. Quite the established character. She's got a Bachelor of Arts in Neurobiology at Harvard, her MSc in Neuroscience at Oxford, and her PhD in Psychology at the University of Pennsylvania. And this is her first book. Absolutely amazing mind, brilliant mind, and I'll tell you why. Grit, the Power of Passion and Perseverance. I really appreciate the title. That's what grabbed me initially. Plus, female author, usually a little bit of diligence towards any subject, so quite appreciated. First statement that I took down as a note was, greatness is doable. I love this. There's nothing that I can't love about it. Greatness is doable. I always knew that greatness is basically just many little feats broken down into individual steps and then actually walking those steps. And any great person, any great athlete, any great businessman, any great achiever will tell you exactly that. It was just a combination of small things, small daily habits repeated, so to speak. And that's what I loved about her statement, that greatness is doable. Many little individual achievements will eventually lead to greatness. One of her professors, when she was challenging some of the work that she did, super famous person as well, was challenging her. And that's what I got to do at some point too. That's why I'm recording this video today actually, which was kind of nice. He challenged her to stop reading and go think. Stop reading and go think. And that's what made her come up with this. She actually stopped taking things in and she started putting things out. She actually came up with a theory that helps us better understand her thinking. I love when she starts the book, she talks about different aspects of grit, one being passion and one being perseverance. And she also talks about what role talent plays in the whole 9 yards. And she says that talent is how quickly your skill improves when you invest effort into it. That's what talent is. Talent is how quickly your skill improves when you invest effort into it. And that was so interesting. And then she says, but effort comes in that formula. Effort is being named twice. The second time is achievement is when you use your skills for good. So the effort that you put into your talent will determine how quickly you gain skills or improve on your skills. If you put effort into your skills, that'll determine how quickly you'll get to achievement. If that makes sense, it's a two-way formula. So talent is how fast we improve our skill. And then there's effort that you put towards a talent. So effort builds skill, number one. And then effort applies skill. It builds the skill and it applies the skill. If you apply effort to talent, you develop skill. If you apply effort to skill, you develop achievement. And it's fascinating. That's an actual theory. Like, that's awesome. I love this. 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 And that's what achievement is over the long term. That's what greatness is over the long term, is consistency of effort applied over a long period of time. That's what greatness is. That's what greatness is. She mentions that you don't need one internal you only need one internal compass, not 3, 4, or 5, or 6. One is enough. And that's what's going to guide you. I love the story about her family. In her family, they have that tradition that they all pick one or more hard things. And they have the kids do it too. Nobody can pick your hard thing for you. You have to pick one. But once you pick it, the rule is, or 2 rules go with that little game that they play, is you have to pick it. No one else can pick it for you. You have to pick one. You can't get away with 0 hard things to do. So hers is, I believe, yoga, and she does obviously medicinal research in psychology. Her husband, I believe, is a real estate developer, and he runs, and the kids play the violin or piano or ballet or whatever you can imagine. But everybody picks one hard thing, and the rule is you pick it. You have to pick one, and you can't quit for at least one interval. So if ballet goes for 1 year minimum, you do the whole year. You can't just quit in between. But you're allowed to quit, but you have to do 1 full term without quitting. So you can't leave on a bad day. You maybe leave after a bad year, but you can't leave after a bad day. You can't leave after the instructor yells at you. You can't leave if it rains on your parade. You can't leave. You have to do it for 1 full year. And I appreciate that so much. I appreciate that so much. So she goes on to say and says, without effort, your talent is nothing more than just your unmet potential. Without effort, your talent is nothing more than your unmet potential. I love this. I love this. Without effort, your talent is nothing more than your unmet potential. Man, this is awesome. Grit. We're talking about grit. That's the major thing. It's split into 2 categories. One of them is passion, and the second one is perseverance. Passion is falling in love with it, whatever it is that you're interested in, right? Perseverance is staying in love with it. And I think that's a concept that I've followed quite some time. The easy part is finding what you like. The easy part is fostering interest. We'll talk about that in a little bit later as well. But staying interested and staying in love, that's tough. That's the hard work. That's daily habits. That's all the stuff that we talk about when it comes to motivation, when it comes to getting out of bed and really going for it. And that's why it takes some time. It took me some time to find what I really love. And then once I did find it, it's effortless. I go there every day and I love doing it. This is work, for example. She goes on to say that it has a lot to do with how you unify and how you align and how you make all the things in your life focus into a single direction, right? That's where focus and flow and all those things come to play. The more unified and aligned and coordinated your goal hierarchies are, the better you're off. The more unified, aligned, and coordinated your goal hierarchies are, the better you're off. She goes into this thing where she just basically makes everybody play an exercise or go through an exercise. And I love the exercise, and that's why I'm sharing it with you guys here. Angela did such an amazing job writing it in that book, and I hope you get the book because those are really just the tidbits. My favorites, but I hope you read more about this because it's so valuable. The exercise is as follows. Write down 25 of the goals that you have. 25 goals. 25 goals or dreams that you are after. 25 of them. Write down 25. Then you circle the top 5 and then you ignore the rest for now because they're a waste of your time. I'll tell you one more time. This is the exercise. This is the exercise to align and really manage your goal hierarchies so that they work in your favor. Write down 25 goals or dreams that you have for yourself. Circle the top 5 and then ignore the rest for now because they're a waste of your time. That's a good exercise. Do that. I'm going to promise you that you're going to see an improvement of performance, efficiency, and efficacy just by that. Write down your top 25 goals in life, circle the top 5 out of that, and then ignore the rest for now because they're wasting your time. I love this. Love this. Here's what perseverance is. Perseverance is the quiet determination to stick to a path once you've decided upon it. Perseverance is the quiet determination to stick to a path once decided upon. And I love this. Perseverance is what keeps you going when it's not in your favor. As Jim Rohn says, perseverance is you making sure that you can handle a winter. That's what perseverance is. And then the winter comes and you just basically you force yourself through the winter, because winters will come, usually right after fall, as Jim Rohn says. But what comes right after winter? There's never been a double winter. It's spring, right after winter. And so perseverance is what makes us go through those winters and come out on the other end. And how do we foster that? How do we nourish? How do we get this thing rolling? Well, it starts in 4 steps, she says. This is Angela Duckworth, Grit. She says it starts with interest, then the capacity to practice. It moves over into purpose. I love that one, of course. And then hope. I always like to think of it as faith, but hope. Hope is what keeps you going. That's the perseverance part. Again, number 1, develop a certain interest. Build the capacity to practice. Find how it is purposeful. And we're talking about what purpose is in a minute. And then how to keep the hope. How to find hope. How to keep faith. I always like that. There's a quote in there that really stuck with me that goes, nobody is interested. I can't even talk anymore. Nobody is interested in everything. Everyone is interested in something. And that's where we're going to build on interest, the capacity to practice, finding a purpose for it, and then hope. How to not lose hope. Passions are like relationships. Passions are like partners. Passions are not necessarily found as, oh my God, I stumbled across my passion and there it was. It's more like you foster them. You find something that you're interested in and then you start practicing it. Whatever it is, cooking, sewing, dancing, singing, talking on podcasts. And then you foster it and you nourish it and you care for it and you build it. Parenting comes from Latin to bring forward. So if you parent your passion, if you foster your passion, if you nourish your passion, that's when you make that relationship, when it starts as an interest and it turns into a passion. And then the next step is when it turns into a passion, you will likely find out how to make it purposeful. And what's purpose? Purpose is when it serves not only you, but it serves the community. Purpose is when what we do, she says, purpose is when what we do matters to others. That's what purpose is. That's when you go from what Alan Watts said, go from the night mode where you think about what's in it for me? What castle can I conquer for me, to the statesman mode, and you say, what's in it for us? What's in it for us as a community? What's in it for us as a country? What's that portion of your purpose, of your passion, that serves the community or the world or the universe, whatever you want to call it? That's when you find purpose. There is this absolute incredible story about this little child, and let's just say the child is a scientist, wants to be a little scientist. So his mother and a friend of the mother sit on the sidewalk one day, and the kid comes along full of excitement and tells his mother about this limitless, endless mirror box. It's basically an eternal mirror where one light gets reflected from all the walls back into all the walls, and it's just this endless mirror. And he has this whole scientific explanation of how this thing works and how it's built and why it's set up the way it's set up and everything. And the mom just sits there and nods and says, good job, well done, that's awesome. And the kid leaves with his little invention, and the friend of the mom said, did you really understand everything that he was talking about? And the mom says, it's not important that we understand everything. It's important that we listen. And that's why I do believe we as parents, or we as friends, or we as partners, or we as business people, or we as leaders, and we as managers, we can do a much, much better job. It's not important to necessarily understand. Of course, you would want to listen to understand, but it's not necessarily the goal to go in there right away and understand and come up with your portion of the solution process. Sometimes it's just important to just listen, as a good parent would do, as a good leader would do, as a good friend would do, as a good partner would do. I always love that. To foster a passion, here we go, and this is going back into those 4 points: interest, practice, purpose, and hope. To foster a passion, you have to trigger interests for that passion over and over and over again. How do you do that? You ask questions and you answer them, and you let the answers lead to new questions. I'm going to give you an example. How to best motivate people, where you listen to what's in the way of them being motivated. You ask them, well, what if they say that a loss of a friend is in the way of them being motivated to do anything? And then you go about that problem. Then you answer that, and then you lead with that to the next question. Maybe for cooking. How do I make a sweet potato pie? Well, you need sweet potatoes. Well, how do I prepare them? Well, you probably peel them. Well, how to best cook them? Well, you probably boil them first. I'm actually not too sure, but you know what I mean. How to trigger interests again and again so you can develop a passion. You ask questions and you answer those questions, and you answer in a way that leads to more questions. Maybe with a person, maybe by yourself, but do that process, follow that process to ask questions and to let the answers ask more questions, lead to more questions. That's how you trigger interests, and that's how you develop a passion. And I'm sure you can walk yourself through how that would look like for your specific area of interest or area of passion. I'm pretty sure you can do that. Then she mentions a word that I am so fascinated by. It is Japanese. It turns out it is Japanese, and it's kaizen. Kaizen, resisting plateaus. That's a short version and very, very oversimplified. But basically what it means continuous improvement. You don't just go about a thing and then you kind of reach a peak or the very highest point, and then it kind of just either gets stagnate or falls down. You resist plateauing, if that's a word. You resist plateauing to the point where you are continuously improving on yourself. That's the opposite of being complacent, the opposite of complacency. It's a persistence to do better all the time. And the persistence to do better all the time is not a thing of looking backwards, she says, and being dissatisfied. That's not what it means. A persistent desire to do better is looking forward and wanting to grow. It's not a negative thing. It's not at all a negative thing or a burden. It's freeing. It's exciting. It's something that gets you going in the morning. So that's what a persistent desire or Kaizen is really for you. And that's what you want to connect with your passion, with something that you're interested in. Deliberate practice, therefore, becomes a behavior, and the state of flow where you can experience this persistence, the desire to do better, the state of flow becomes an experience. Again, deliberate practice where you focus on what you do, I'll explain in a second, becomes a behavior. And flow, the state of flow where time doesn't matter, hunger doesn't matter, and nothing matters. You're focused, laser focused on your task, on your passion. That's an experience. So what's deliberate practice? Well, she talks about it. She explains it all in that book, Grit. Deliberate practice needs a clearly defined goal, fully concentrated efforts, immediate and informative feedback, and then repetition with reflection and refinement. The president of Toastmasters International, past president of Toastmasters International, Jim Kokochi, he met me once and he said you only need 3 things to learn any skill. 3 things to learn any skill in the world. It's knowledge about the skill, practice, and feedback. You need to know what you're going to do. Then you need to practice said thing. And then you need feedback, hopefully from someone that already knows how to do it. And then you apply the feedback into your knowledge portion, into your practice. And then you get more feedback and you grow more. You practice Kaizen, continuous improvement, and you're resisting to plateau in anything. You're just going to keep on going. There was a pot maker that she's talking about, someone who works with clay a lot. And he says, once you've done your first 10,000 pots, it gets a little bit easier. And I love that. 10,000 is a lot, So again, deliberate practice, a clearly defined goal, a fully concentrated effort, immediate and informative feedback, and repetition with reflection and refinement. That's deliberate practice. And remember, that's a behavior. With that, it oftentimes leads to flow. And flow is an experience. Once you're in that state and you find a certain passion and you find a certain calling, that's how I want to lead into this next part. You actually have a completely effortless existence. There's the story of a couple of bricklayers, 3 bricklayers to be precise. They asked the first one, what are you doing? And he says, well, I'm laying bricks. So this guy's got a job, right? He's laying bricks. That's his job. You ask the second one and he says, well, I'm building a church. This time I'm building a church. And he's got a career. Like that's going to take a long time to build a church. So this guy's got a career. Good for him. And then you ask the third one, what is he building? And he says, I'm building the house of God. And this guy found his passion. Like he's found his calling. And that's what you want to find out with your, whatever it is, your purpose. There's a saying that if you compare it to a restaurant, right? If you compare it to a restaurant, there's 3 types of restaurants. The first type of restaurant gives you less than what you paid for in quality and quantity. That's the entry-level quality restaurant. Then there is a second type of restaurant which gives you exactly for what you paid for in quality and quantity. And that's a good restaurant. There's nothing wrong with that. It's worth to go there. But then there's a great restaurant. And a great restaurant will always, always, always give you more than what you paid for in quality and quantity. And you are going to forever remember and recommend that restaurant. And if you apply that to your passion, your craft, your whatever it is, then you've won. You want to be the person, you want to be the construction manager who always delivers more than what people paid for in quality and quantity. You always want to, if you're a kindergarten teacher, you always want to look at the kids and deliver more knowledge than what you get paid for in quality and quantity. If you're a mom, you can do the same. If you're a insurance salesperson, you can do the same, deliver more. My friend Mitch Vandermark found that out very good. He delivers more service than what people pay for. He has little booklets with little discounts, and it's fascinating. If you are that person that delivers more in quality and quantity than what people paid for, people will forever remember you. So the top 3 reminders from the book, and I'm just going to show it one more time. Angela Duckworth, Grit, the Power of Passion and Perseverance. My top 3 takeaways are that greatness is doable. It is certainly doable, and I love that about her book. Greatness is doable. And number 2 would be that if you want to foster a passion, you have to trigger interests over and over and over again. How do you do that? By asking questions and by letting the answers to those questions lead to more questions. That's number 2. And number 3 on my reminder list is how to deliberately practice anything. Have a defined goal, have focused, concentrated efforts, have meaningful feedback, and then have refined efforts to get better at it. Immediate. So that is it for Angela Duckworth's Grit, Power of Perseverance. Thanks for checking this out. I'm going to finish with a quote that I found in the book, page 254. Teddy Roosevelt. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles. I'm going to start that over. Teddy Roosevelt. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again and again, who strives valiantly. I said that. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who spends himself in a worthy cause? Who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement? And who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory or defeat. Have a fierce resolve in everything you do. Demonstrate determination, resiliency, and tenacity. Use mistakes and problems as opportunities to get better, not as reasons to quit. Again, this has been a wonderful book. I highly recommend it. Angela Duckworth, Grit, Power of Passions and Perseverance. Have an amazing day. Pew.